The work in Neuralink will definitely shed a lot of insight into how the brain and the mind works.
The device is designed to interpret your neural activity so you can operate a computer or a smartphone.
I think heard this sort of idea that this is the first time this has happened. It's not the first time this has happened.
Implanted neurotechnologies have been used in the clinic for decades to treat conditions like epilepsy and Parkinson's. But what is the current frontier of brain-computer interfaces, and how can they provide better patient outcomes and enhance humanity, not surpass it? In this video, I'll use Neuralink as my focal point, but also put it in context by discussing the other players in the field and the considerable ethical challenges associated with brain implantation. The central product is a chip that's implanted within the skull and distributes thin wires over the brain. According to Musk, the aim of the company in the short term is to help individuals with a range of brain and spinal injury disorders, with the goal in the future of potentially curing progressive brain disorders like dementia and Alzheimer's, and perhaps even more ambitiously facilitate a symbiosis with AGI, whatever on earth that might look like.
We can effectively have the option of merging with AI.
Since their founding in 2016, the $5 billion valued startup have since run a number of public demos. One in 2020 of Gertrude the pig, showing that the implanted chip was picking up neural activity when Gertrude was snuffling around for food. And then another in 2021 when it showed a rhesus macaque named Pager playing video games through mental control. This might sound groundbreaking, but such experiments are not new. For example, as far back as 2002, the first demonstration of a monkey neurally controlling a computer took place. And as recent as 2018, researchers showed a subject mentally controlling a computer to browse the web and use email. So we've put Neuralink in some historical context here, but let's explore Neuralink's most recent development and take a look at other players in the field. Only last week, Musk tweeted that the first human patient has received an implant from Neuralink and is in recovery. How was the study conducted? The company used a robot to surgically implant the brain-computer interface in a region of the brain that controls movement. The electrodes at the end of the wire threads of the implant then detect and transmit the signals in the participant's brain. Neuralink might be the focal point in this video, but a crucial point to make is that there are other movers in the space. In fact, a few companies have in some cases made more progress. BlackRock Neurotech's Array, for example, was first implanted in a human 20 years ago now to help patients with paralysis. And 2 years ago, they released a video of Barack Obama shaking a robotic hand controlled by the mind of a long-term patient. Then on the 7th of April 2023, BlackRock exhibited the artwork of a number of patients using thought-to-cursor brain-computer implants. And then there is Synchron, who in 2023 released the results of a long-term study on the safety of their neuroprosthesis device Stentrode on 4 patients with paralysis, finding that the device could work safely over a long period of time. And Austin-based Paradromics Neuroscience received $33 million of Series A funding in May 2023 for their Connexus Direct Data Interface, which is currently under expedited review by the FDA before they catch up with other performing human trials. And then there are companies that take different, less invasive approaches, like Precision Neuroscience, who also aim to help people with paralysis with a brain implant that is inserted via a microcranial slit, that they believe is a much simpler procedure than those completed by BlackRock and Neuralink. So we've seen the range of companies that are making progress, but there are still huge barriers to widespread usage. The first is the difficulties of commercialization, and the second is the broader discussion of the ethics surrounding this technology. On the commercialization front, the first real issue is the invasiveness of the procedure. Currently, companies like BlackRock Neurotech and Neuralink drill a hole in the skull to implant the technology on human brains. This not only poses the potential risk of infection, but also means that it might not be that scalable, as the procedure isn't as simple as drilling a hole in your teeth, for example. There is also a question of whether the scaling can be done ethically, as reports from Reuters and Wired have described the horrific welfare conditions Neuralink's test monkeys had to endure. And we also need a better understanding of the brain before we get carried away, said neuroscientist Anil Seth on X. And then there is the issue of privacy. The UN held a conference in July 2023 that attempted to set out a framework of human rights. The UN Secretary General said, "This progress is a cause for celebration and a reason for caution. we must safeguard ethical standards and ensure the full protection of human rights. Some organisations, such as the Neuro Rights Foundation, have called for wider awareness of the potential invasiveness of neurotechnologies and the neural data that could be gathered. And the South American country Chile have become the first to address concerns about neurotechnologies in their constitution. But is the collection of emotional and cognitive data a real possibility? Some, like Daniel Sousa and Laura Cabrera of Penn State University, think that the data collection from neurotechnologies, at least for now, would be more like current data tracking models. That's not to say that it's right, but not necessarily the Minority Report scenario that some people might be dreaming up. And then there is the issue of inequality. For example, if BCIs become only available to the wealthy, this could exacerbate inequalities and leave those without the funds to join Musk's hypothetical AGI symbiosis behind. And what about cognitive liberty? This is the idea that featured in legal scholar Nita Farahani's 2023 book, The Battle for Your Brain, which emphasises the importance of protecting people from having their mental processes manipulated without their consent, which we've already seen is a very real possibility, looking at the beating some social media CEOs took in Congress last week. So perhaps the picture isn't as straightforward as some would like, but I'll leave you with this quote from Just Ayau, as I think it sums up a constructive way forward for neurotechnologies. The possible clinical and societal benefits of neurotechnologies are vast. To reap them, we must guide their development in a way that respects, protects, and enables what is best in humanity.